Welcome to this fourth of our GDP Global FDI webinar series for Africa, and in particular for Southern Africa and South Africa. We at GDP Global want to reach out to support the interchange of experiences and to highlight the importance of driving change and transformation by investment and trade organizations. We want to make a small contribution towards this huge task and organize these free webinars on FDI and trade to interchange experiences, to learn from each other, and to keep connected. We have many friends here, clients, colleagues, specifically also the panel. The themes we have been touching on and will be touching on is obviously FDI attraction, strategies and operations, country, provincial and city brands, international trade promotion, of course, SMME development, value chains, smart cities, SEZ promotion, policies, program adjustments at the higher levels, building international networks as well, organizational transformation and restructuring of agencies that goes with this change of strategy, this change of tactics that we're facing. With me today is a fantastic panel. I'm very pleased to introduce you to Mário Lironel. He's a senior program officer of the Finance and Investment Department of the SADC Secretariat. Welcome to Yunus. Hoosen. He's the Acting Deputy Director General of Invest South Africa at the dtic, which is in South Africa. Also welcome to Sekete Phohlo. He's the General Manager, Investment and Trade at the Lesotho National Development Corporation, LNDC. Nirmala Jeetah, EDB Mauritius, she's Head of Department at the CEO's office. And also welcome to Willy Shimbome. Willy is the Chief Investment Officer of the newly created Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board. As we all know, all investment promoters, trade promoters, FDI has fell 42% in 2020, from 1.5 trillion to 860 billion from 2019 to 2020. So this is more than 30% of the decline we had in the financial crisis. Worst hit is the developed economies. So for instance, Europe, US and Canada, the decline was 70%. Or sub-Saharan Africa, not so much, but still 18%. For South Africa, we know it has been about 50%, and neighboring countries similarly. But it will recover. We know that. We will have the aftermath and we will have the growth curve coming back to us. We have also some countries that are growing on. China, not as much as before, 4% last year. India, however, is doing better with 13% growth in FDI, mainly driven by digital transformation. This means value chains are being restructured, supply chains shorter, nearshoring is becoming very important, and businesses are being transformed at a quick rate. So, and please, Mário, may we start with you? Mário.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much, everyone. I would like to start my presentation by presenting the SADC Vision 2050. The SADC Vision 2050 is built on a foundation of peace, security, and food and good governance. I'm doing a kind of a top-down approach. Let's go to the strategic objective of the vision. We've got three main pillars, but for the sake of this webinar, we are going to concentrate only in the pillar number one. So the pillar number one has got 6 strategic objectives. Strategic number 5, which is the one which I'm going to explore more, the investment related issue, is related to the deepening of financial market integration, monetary cooperation, and investments. In terms of investment, so under the objective number 5, our main outcome will be increasing domestic, interregional, and foreign direct investment. And the main targets within the main target from the 2020-2030 includes the SADC investment policy framework implemented, the SADC bilateral investment treaty model developed, and the SADC investment promotion strategy developed as well, including the SADC investment climate scorecard and the SADC guidelines on value-added tax, excise tax, and tax incentives. I want to introduce you now the SADC Regional Action Program on Investment. So everything that we do in the region in terms of investment is done through the RAPI, the SADC Regional Action Program on Investment. And it has four main elements, which concern the developing and harmonization of the relevant policies and the frameworks for attracting and promoting both domestic and the FDI. The second element is the investment promotion initiative in the region. And the third one, developing relevant platforms for sharing information, which is relevant to investors. You can see that we have got four items here. The blue one being the SADC business and investment policy. The second one related to the business investment promotion strategy. The other one is the portal and the peer-to-peer learning. We take the peer-to-peer learning as a very serious component of the BAT, sorry, of the RAPI, because it's where the member state can share information. And it was very useful in the context of the pandemic, for example, with regard to sharing information to counterattack the COVID impact on investments. All right, so within RAPI, we have a sub-program, I would call, which helps actually to implement the RAPI. So this is the program which we call the CIBA program, is the program support to improving the investment and the business environment in the SADC region. This project is supported, is implemented in cooperation with the European Union through the 11th European Development Fund. And its main objective is to achieve a sustainable and inclusive growth and support job creation. And being the specific objective is to develop the region into a SADC investment zone, promoting intra-regional investment and FDI in the SADC region. The idea, and SADC region in particular, the SME, we want to turn the SADC region into, let's say, the best destination in terms of FDI in Africa. So this CIBA program has got three main result areas. The first one related to the investment policy framework across member states. The second one related to the integration in the financial market, and the third one on financial inclusion. But for this particular event, we will talk only about the key result number one. But the key result number one is very much related to enhancing public-private dialogue mechanism, harmonization of SADC member state investment and business environment, and related laws, including regulation, enhance the SADC tax regime in support of a conducive investment and business environment. We believe that a framework for investment and business dialogue is very important to attract and retain FDI. We also advocate a SADC investment climate scorecard. This SADC investment climate scorecard will be developed in cooperation with the World Bank as well as the OECD. And we also target to build capacity of member states on investment promotion, aftercare, and advocacy through peer-to-peer learning. We have a weakness in this particular area, and we want to help the member state in order to gain more, to be capacitated in this particular area. And then we have the National Action Plan, National Development of National Action Program on Investment. As you know, SADC has got also a component within its RAPI, which is the development of a national action program on investment. We want to domesticate the SADC investment policy framework. But to do that, we have in place mechanisms, and we have got a firm that is helping us to help member states to develop their national action program that links it to the SADC investment policy framework. As you know, the SADC investment policy framework has got 5 main key areas, which incorporates a promotion of a coherent and transparent investment environment, assuring that market access and competition, providing security and protection of investor rights, ensuring responsible and inclusive investment for development, as well as promoting regional and international cooperation. So this NAPI, this National Action Program on Investment, which we call also NAPI within the region, it's extremely important for us to help member states to attract investment. The other component is the SADC business and investment promotional strategy. So the SADC's business and investment promotion strategy main objective is to complement the IPAS investment promotional strategy. It's not to replace member state, let's say, capacity to promote, but rather to support them and to present and to promote SADC as an FDI destination. And lately, to create and maintain the visibility of SADC as a regional investment destination. The branding visibility will be maintained through the regular production of publication and dissemination and the macroeconomic reports that SADC produce in annual basis. And then we have the showcasing of SADC investment promotion and the regional and regional international investment forum. The idea here is to also capacitate member states, including the Secretariat, to help them to be able to identify relevant regional and international forums and support the SADC country participation in those forums so that they can capture investment. And also to develop a strategy to prepare and showcase the introduction of a project compendium of all SADC member states that they can be investor ready for investment. The other one is the SADC Annual Business and Investment Forum. But we want to transform this SADC Industrialization Week into a SADC Annual Business and Investment Forum. So we want the private sector to participate in the SADC Annual Business and Investment. We want that this event, when it is organized, everyone that wants to particularly invest in SADC region has got the opportunity. It is a big money opportunity to make an investment, to engage with SADC private investor as well as SADC member state to invest in the region. Okay, in a nutshell, and due to the allotted time, this is my introduction to the topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Mário. That was awesome to know for everyone the support that the SADC Secretariat in your department in particular is providing to investment and trade promotion agencies across the member states. It is my greatest pleasure to introduce you to Yunus Hoosen. Yunus is the acting Deputy Director General for Invest South Africa at the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, the dtic nowadays of South Africa.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Christina and John and fellow panelists. Colleagues and friends, I'd like to share with you a few pointers on the investment promotion, facilitation and aftercare of the agency that I manage called Invest South Africa. I think what the pandemic in South Africa, we had a very strict lockdown from the time the pandemic was, the lockdown was implemented in March last year. But prior to the pandemic, 2 weeks prior to the pandemic, we started working in South Africa together with the private sector to look at how we could build capacity in terms of the vulnerability of supply chains, particularly in the food and the healthcare sector. And we worked pretty well with the private sector. And in our case, as an agency for investment, what particularly happened is that it gave us the opportunity to reorganize, meaning that the country was basically at a standstill in level 5 of the lockdown, and gave us the opportunity, for example, to scale down on investment promotion and to do a more deeper sector prioritization. Prior to that, we had about 35 sectors. We worked with the World Bank in terms of developing a corporate plan and reduced that to 13 sectors for investment promotion. And then we regrouped and reorganized the capacity to strengthen the investment facilitation and aftercare part of the agency. And this stood us very well because in the lockdown, we had a risk-adjusted framework. And in that risk-adjusted framework, we became the focal point in government that was speaking to the private sector and investors. So we would be in direct contact through the one-stop shop approach. We then instituted or started up virtual one-stop shops in the provinces. So each time there was a change in the level or there were different directives or regulations, we could impart or we could inform the provinces, who could then inform the companies or the security agencies or the transport agencies on the ground in particular provinces. So what we did then in the pandemic, we contacted the companies on a daily basis. And that, I think, stood us in good stead because we were able to find out productivity levels, capacity levels. We were then easily able to ramp up supply chains. We talked to, for example, the major retailers in South Africa through the clothing goods, the Consumer Goods Council, and worked with them in terms of supplier development, in terms of companies tweaking and through ingenious ways. For example, building up ventilators. South Africa didn't have a capacity for ventilators. In the pandemic, we were able to then tweak companies and make 20,000 ventilators, make face masks. Prior to the pandemic, we were even importing every aspect of PPE. And we had a capacity of 1 million masks. We now can make 8 million masks a month. So we were able to talk to big companies and the retailer to say, how would they ensure that their supply chain is not disrupted? And by working with programs with SMMEs, particularly, we were able then to build in supply chains. And many of these big firms actually set up a supplier development fund for SMMEs and work together with us so that we could find these companies. For example, we use the alcohol to support the companies that were making sanitizers and the companies that were making the beverages to support companies making bottles for sanitizers. So we did a lot of, we tweaked a lot of stuff, but this was only possible by setting up a partnership with the private sector and working with the private sector. And so working with the private sector, the government was able to work on a long-term reconstruction and economic plan for the country, and that now identifies new sectors for us to look at investments, new policy initiatives. And then I think we also were able to talk, when we're talking to companies, we were able to find out what are the healthcare issues in companies, what is the downtime or the effect on productivity, how we set up new programs in terms of going back to work, developing work protocols with companies and assisting companies, because this was a totally new paradigm. But I think in the aftercare part is where we excel, because we manage the President's investment mobilization drive. And we last year was the third year of the drive, and which of 1.2 trillion rand, we achieved 773 billion rand after 3 years and achieved 50 investment projects. But more importantly, I think when we were in lockdown, we were able to talk to foreign governments, foreign embassies, foreign chambers, and companies. So in the case, for example, of Mercedes-Benz, they have a very strict timeline for the new C-Class, and that has had to be implemented this year in Q2. So we worked with them, worked with the German government, the embassy, with Lufthansa, provided them exemptions on visas so that they could bring people in, critical and scarce people in, for Mercedes-Benz, for Total, for the gas project, and for others like Japanese companies and Indian companies. And by maintaining that contact with these companies and assisting in ensuring that their projects meet their timelines, they're now beginning to localize, one, in terms of our localize, and they're beginning to retain their investment. I think the third part that we played a big role is that many companies were going into distress and business rescue, was to facilitate with them intergovernmentally the distress relief funds, so that could go out quickly to companies, so that companies could when we came down to level 3, quickly get back into production. I think while we were doing that, we also maintained our infrastructure program in terms of the SEZs. We rolled out significant infrastructure, and that is why Phohlo, for example, a few weeks ago, was able to make that significant announcement for the Swana SEZ program, and because of the infrastructure that we were putting in place, so that they could reach it on a timeline within the next year or so. So creating world-class infrastructure, although we were in a period of lockdown. But I think the other area that while we were in lockdown, where we got together intergovernmentally, was on the Ease of Doing Business program. We developed a portal called the BIS portal for company registration, which eliminated paper. It's totally online. Companies can now register within a day, within a matter of hours. We also improved in the city of Johannesburg. We put an online process of E-rates clearance certificate, put a one-stop shop approach in terms of the construction permits, and also reduce the time, turnaround time for VAT refunds. So we work significantly, I think, in enhancing South Africa's value proposition in aftercare, and significant work in facilitation thereof, because there were many challenges. When we were in the lockdown, companies didn't know how to reach out, who to reach out to, but InvestSA became their focal point of contact, became their advocacy in government to talk to other organs of state in which we were able to navigate for them and resolve that. And I think that these now enable us to also utilize the programs, such as the number of digital tools now in actual investment promotion. And in terms of our economic reconstruction program, we've identified a number of new sectors that we are looking for in terms of investment promotion. So I think as we are now in lockdown level 1, it becomes now a greater importance for us to play a much more bigger role in investment promotion, and also then to keep the momentum in terms of the number of surveys that we've been asking companies to, because we've been maintaining that relationship. And for example, the BIS portal program, we were able to register 145,000 companies in the lockdown period. So that just tells you the role of digitization, automation, and online services will be the newfound areas also in the work of an investment promotion agency, and how we will be able to work in the future. So I think I heard the bell, so maybe my time is up, but I will stop from now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yunus, for sharing those valuable actions that the DTIC and its agencies have undertaken under this period. I would say you have been doing some serious work that is necessary now, is what you're doing, and it seems like you have really done it thoroughly, and really getting the companies on board, private sector, public sector. I will not take up any more time. I will just introduce the next speaker, Sekete Phohlo. Sekete is the General Manager of Investment and Trade at Lesotho National Development Corporation. Sekete has been driving the development and implementation of trade and investment promotion for the country since 2018 in the various sectors that Lesotho has its strengths. So please, Sekete, tell us what you have been doing at the LNDC.
All right. No, thank you very much, Christina, for this opportunity. I must say it is indeed my honor to be here with you guys today, just to share the little experiences from our little kingdom of Lesotho. I need to mention upfront that the Lesotho National Development Corporation primarily has been mandated with investment promotion. We only took the trade promotion from the parent ministry, being the Ministry of Trade and Industry, last year, early last year. So the trade promotion is a fairly new animal in our space, with little resources at the moment to actually deal with trade promotion issues. So what I'll try to do will be to cover the strategic context within which we try to address the COVID-19 pandemic within Lesotho, and quickly highlight government policies that we adopted, and also highlight a few of the medium to long-term responses that we are busy working on, some of which will be part of our National Economic Recovery Program, and new focus areas, and a little bit of prioritization that we had to take, and a little bit of successes and challenges in the reforms area, and how we see the future going forward. It is no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that like every other economy, we were also equally challenged by the emergence of COVID-19 pandemic. And since the start of this pandemic, we could see our public authorities really working under tremendous pressure, trying to make things happen for our key sectors, but obviously with challenges. And we recognize our role being at the forefront of FDI attraction as the LNDC to help businesses in that space. So since the pandemic, the key focus for us has been to try and facilitate operations for firms that are still able to continue operations. I must say many of the companies were challenged because their supply chains were totally shattered because of this pandemic. And I need to give that context by saying Lesotho depends on manufacturing sector as one of the key priority sectors dominated by textiles and apparels industry. And therefore you can imagine if inputs cannot come in and finished products can also not go out to the marked destinations such as the US, then that causes disruptions in itself. So we have to manage and help our firms with global supply relationships. They are managing where we can, where we have leverage. But I think that has exposed us in terms of at least getting to see how much we need to get involved in unpacking these value chains to be able to have some form of influence as government, well, part of government. So what we saw since the pandemic started was many of the companies tried to rationalize their capacity, had to put some people on rotational schemes. Some orders were cancelled, revenues were not coming through. There were also some retrenchments. I think we tried to do an assessment around September last year, and what we found out was the whole industry reported the average of 20% loss in revenues since March when the pandemic started. So that was a big challenge, and that exposed us in terms of the reality that our export competitiveness is really being challenged by the pandemic, and therefore we had to try and focus on aftercare, trying to make it easy for those that can continue to work. So we had to take really stringent measures because we had the government had to declare the state of emergency and subsequent lockdowns that really affected us and exposed us in terms of food security. That much we were very clear, and health equipment shortages. Interesting in that space was some of the firms were able to venture into production of PPEs. And that was, we would never have thought of that if it had not been of this pandemic. So a few of our firms were able to produce for South Africa and a few other neighboring countries. But however, I need to mention that the fact that many of these countries as well, including South Africa, also imposed restrictions in terms of exports of PPEs to other countries, also that exposed a gap in terms of our ability health-wise to try and manage the pandemic. So that was a big challenge for us. So what we tried to focus to do was also facilitate coming in of key expertise to help these firms as they venture into the PPE production. So we had a role there to try and get some of these people in, although it was very challenging. Some were being approved, some were not being approved. So we had to get the national government to also help in that space. That's what we had to do. So a quick high level of what the government did in a nutshell in response to COVID. We extended deadlines for tax filing, and some tax payment referrals were also implemented. Fast tracking of VAT refunds was also on the table. Some exemptions were feasible. The LNDC was involved directly on the wage subsidy support to factory workers, because we are talking about close to 50,000 factory workers that all of a sudden had to stay home, and they can't earn anything without this support. Also, the LNDC was involved in issuing the rental waiver for our industrialists. I need to mention that in the African context, we are one of the few IPAs that do not rely on government to fund their operations. We do not depend on subventions. We had to do this out of our balance sheet. And the reality is dawning now on us in terms of this waiver, because we are reporting a financial loss in terms of our financial sustainability as a corporation at the moment. Also, around August, the 6th of August 2020, we launched a COVID-related partial credit guarantee scheme as a way to support the private sector to get back to business. And this was an enhanced PCG, because we already had a PCG, but that was very selective on sectors. But this time around, we had to open up and increase the final loss coverage in this product to try and have many of these businesses getting financing from our local commercial banks. We also launched the project preparation funding to try and fast track project preparation of many of the value chains that are in our space, particularly in agricultural sector, because our current strategic plan emphasizes agriculture and agro-processing as well as manufacturing as the key strategic sectors for LNDCs particularly. But at the national level, we also include tourism, technology and innovation as other productive sectors of focus for the national government. Also, what we saw as an initiative to try and boost our own people was to try and buy local produce from our own people to try and support vulnerable groups who were hit hard by the pandemic. So we saw a lot of food parcels being packaged locally with produce that has been done locally to try and support some of this vulnerable group. What does it mean for us as the LNDC in terms of our strategy going into 2021 and forward? We have made a decisive direction to say we will now then try to utilize digital marketing as one of the possibilities that we have not been very active over the years in that space. We need to improve our global online presence, try and see how we can optimize using the search engine optimization, and hopefully try to attract credible investment leads. We are also considering thought leadership engagements, campaigns on social media, LinkedIn, YouTubes, and the likes. And we are also considering to form a Team Lesotho that will run with investor roadshows and similar webinars like this ones to try and ensure that at least the opportunities that are on the table are being adequately publicized. Direct marketing, we need to go the database-driven route in terms of getting our pipeline to possible target investor lists. We also are looking at investment promotion event strategy, where we are intending to use our high commissions and consular coordinated events to try and secure investments in some of these interesting value chains that Lesotho has built. We have for some time now been thinking about the public-private dialogue to try and close the gaps and the deficiencies that we have seen as a cry from the private sector. So we need to put the two sides together. We appreciate our working at the intersection of the two sectors, public and private. So we need to be active in that space to try and help and close that gap. In terms of the investment facilitation processes, we believe we cannot succeed without trying to digitize that space as well, because everything has gone digital now. We are also looking at opportunities to try and enhance our customer relationship management system. Information is key. We need to be able to get information as quickly as possible to advise our potential clients. Just one slide. I think I need to talk about what we are trying to do in the investment climate reforms, where we are working at the development of the investment law for Lesotho. We never had one for a very long time, but we're pushing to try and have that done, and I think it's going to benefit a lot with what SADC is doing based on what Mário said earlier on. So we are leveraging out of the beautiful work that they are doing. Linkages program is one of the things that we're looking at, trying to help export-ready firms from our side in terms of certifications and e-commerce listing like Amazon. We are busy trying to get those people into that space. So business continuity and troubleshooting at this point in time is what we are focusing at as we are ramping up our way forward in terms of investment promotion and attraction in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sekete, for sharing with us the short, medium, and long-term solutions, as well as the new focus that the LNDC will be taking in together with the government. Considering time, I would like to pass, thank you very much, Sekete, to pass the word on to our next panelist, which is Nirmala Jeetah, Head of Department at the CEO's office, which is a new structure that she will tell us about at the EDB Mauritius. Nirmala now heads the Manufacturing New Industries cluster. So over to you, Nirmala. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Christina, and a very good afternoon to you all from Mauritius. Well, on behalf of the Economic Development Board, we'd like to thank Christina and John for giving us the opportunity to participate in today's webinar focusing about the FDI strategy. Well, my presentation will focus about the EDB and the strategies, especially what we have done during this period of the pandemic, an unusual situation which we had to cope. So I think it is the same for most of the people out there. I'll be talking about Mauritius, the EDB, our new organization structure, the priority areas, and how we do link with the SMEs and provide the linkages. So the next slide will tell you more about just a snapshot about Mauritius, population of 1.3 million. And as you can see, there has been a drop in the GDP, so in last year, and also minus 15.2% compared to 3% that we had in 2019. We have a high literacy rate, and also, as you said, in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business, we are 13th and first in Africa, and also in the Global Business Competitiveness Index also. So in terms of Mauritius, we do provide a very enabling regulatory framework. As you can see, we have worked, it is in line with the government economic reform agenda to provide a very conducive business environment, be it for the local investors as well as foreign investors. So we do have an enabling regulatory framework, and the focus has been more in making it easier to start a business with no minimum requirements. You can be 100% foreign owner of your own company, no exchange control. And also in terms of we are bilingual also, and we have a high literacy rates. And as you can see, there has been also a focus on the infrastructure. So definitely the port and airport are key to us. So there's ongoing infrastructural work. happening in Mauritius also. So in the next slide, it is more about the Economic Development Board. So this is a new entity, and it's a merger of the Trade Promotion and Export Investment Promotion Agency. The new mandate for the Economic Development Board is to promote trade and investment, but also the country branding, strategic economic planning, and the business facilitation component. And we fall under the aegis of the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning, and Development. So definitely, we've got a lot on our plate as the Economic Development Board. And for that, we have a new board, a new chairman also, and we have been working to restructure. So you will see there is a new focus on the strategies and the new emphasis. So there has been some internal restructuring happening. There has been a focus on the market access. There has been actions taken for COVID-19 by the government in terms of measures that have wage assistance policies, in terms of providing support to SMEs, and also in terms of what is our new priority investment targets, especially with the frontiers being closed and travel bans that have been taken into place, and our tourism sector is also suffering. So there has been some new initiatives that has been taken by the government, and the Economic Development Board is part and parcel to that. So, and also we have come up in terms of the new structure, if the actions have been more into implementation of a directorate structure. So what we used to have is our different sectors, clusters that were in the organization. So these have been clustered together in terms of having specific directorates for the services sector, another directorate for the property sector, and for the industry also, and also global outreach. This is more for all our officers overseas. So there has been some sort of consolidation of the different sectors. And also there is a new emphasis in terms of having under the CEO's office, we have a project office. So that has been created in the new structure, and we oversee projects that are of national economic interest and that have also a strong cross-functionality component. So definitely new sectors that we are promoting, pharmaceuticals, green manufacturing, these are the new areas that we are looking into. And also we are interacting with other agencies also in terms of the development of the different sectors. So in terms of priority investment areas, in terms of the priority of the investment areas, we do have in Mauritius our traditional sectors, the sugarcane, textile, fishing, and hospitality sector. But we are focusing more in terms of that. What we have seen in the pandemic, for the textile sector, they have reinvented themselves. So they have come up with the factories manufacturing PPE and also face masks. Some of the paint companies have come up to manufacture sanitizers. So there has been some sort of reinvention by the factories themselves. And what we are doing, focusing more, is diversifying into high growth sectors, like for the medical devices, the pharmaceutical, the financial hub, even the real estate. We are focusing on the silver economy, and also moving more in terms of more research development, that is in terms of high-tech field. We have the biotechnology, fintech, and also these are new areas that we are focusing on. So there has been a lot of focus now on how to move ahead in terms of the new pillars, that is how to go ahead in terms of attracting more high-tech manufacturing. Even our existing manufacturing companies have to automate, and the government has come up with some sort of support to help those companies acquire new machines and all that. So these are things that are already happening in Mauritius. So there has been a lot of focus in terms of Mauritius to support the SME. What the EDB does, the EDB is focusing on encouraging more SMEs to be more export oriented, so they make more export ready. And also there has been support from the government in terms of the capacity building, in terms of encouraging them to export, finding new markets for them. And also we came up during the pandemic with a virtual platform where it was a repository of the manufacturing companies, details about the manufacturing companies, and like sort of marketing the products and all that. So we came up in-house with a sort of a virtual trade platform. Definitely there is going to be a portal because right now it is very difficult to travel, especially with our operators to go and as we used to do before. So we're coming up with a permanent exhibition center, a virtual one that is being worked out. So definitely there's a lot of focus on the different actions that we have taken, the support that has been provided by the government also, because they came up with some initiatives about air freight refund also that has been extended to other countries in the list, to the Middle East and Africa also for those manufacturing companies in terms of the different market access. So that is one of our strategies, because Mauritius, we are a small country with only 1.2 million people and a small market. So in terms of our export market, we have now an FTA with China, and this is operational. And we have also recently signed the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation and Partnership Agreement with India. So we are enlarging more our market access into new countries, China and India, and also we have the AGOA, the EU, and also COMESA and SADC were also in the African CFTA. In terms of the different actions that we have taken, for the time being, what we did is we focused a lot on the projects that were already in the pipeline in the different clusters that we had in Mauritius. So we focused and we had all those projects that were there. We tried to sort out all the bottlenecks. So we have the fast track committee that is chaired by the Prime Minister to accelerate project implementation. So we focused on that. We also are working on the National Electronic Licensing Platform. The focus is more to encourage issue of permits and licenses to be online. So there is a whole program that is being worked together with the different government agencies and the Economic Development Board in terms of providing that platform for the issue of permits and licenses. It is being done in a phased approach. So there are some permits and licenses that are available online and that people can already make the applications. Even at the EDB, when you apply for the occupation permit, that is done online. If you apply for the building and land use permit, that is also done online and issued by the local authority. So there are some timelines that are being provided, and it is in the law also. What we focused on also in terms of having collaboration with the different agencies. Landscope Mauritius is the agency that is looking after all the industrial parks in Mauritius. So we are working with them for the development of the pharmaceutical life sciences park and also the data technology park because we found some interest from companies who are interested to set up in Mauritius. And definitely the strategy is to use Mauritius as the platform to access the African continent, but also the Asian African continent also. So in terms of the marketing initiatives, right now, there's no travel, but we're using a lot of webinars. All our clusters are working together, organizing webinars. We are using our overseas offices for investor outreach and also our embassies to connect with potential investors. And during the pandemic, there were some of the projects that were already in the pipeline, like Decathlon is using the warehousing and logistics facilities in Mauritius for its activities. And we have seen that there's a lot of focus on pharmaceutical projects. So there's companies who want to manufacture pharmaceutical products in Mauritius. So this is where at the level of the EDB, we are facilitating those projects. We have existing companies that are expanding. So that we have focusing on those existing companies that are already in Mauritius that have an expansion strategy. So we are assisting all those companies. And also there are quite a number of companies who are interested to manufacture in the metal fabrication. So as you know, we do have the Metro Express, this big infrastructure projects that is happening. So there's a focus on metal fabrication, also companies that are being set up. And also in the healthcare sector, where we have retirees and also private homes being constructed. One other area that I would like to touch is also that the government is investing a lot on the infrastructure, but is be it at the port or airport, but also on the road network. This is something that there's huge projects happening in Mauritius in terms of the road network also. So definitely this is all combined together is going to help to make Mauritius more attractive, and also trying to put up systems in place so that we can work together and also provide a more attractive destination. One initiative that was taken also last year was the introduction of a premium visa. So that is something because our tourism sector is very much affected. So premium visa was introduced in October 2020 to encourage working nomads, people who would like to set up in Mauritius and work from Mauritius. So this is, the visa is granted online on, you have defined criteria for people who will be eligible for that. It is given for a period of 1 year. And there are some other incentives that the government has come up with to encourage for the occupation permit that is work and live in Mauritius. So with this, I believe my 10 minutes are over. So I thank you all for your attention, and we're happy to reply to any queries that you have. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Nirmala. That was very generous of you to share these strategies and programs that Mauritius has put in place. Next panelist is Willy Shimbome. Willy, very welcome. He's the Chief Investment Officer of the new Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board. Very welcome, Willy. It's lovely to have you here and nice to see you again.
Many thanks to GDP Global, Mr. John Hanna, Ms. Christina, long time no see. The post-COVID-19 business plan for Namibia, we have kicked off with the restructuring of the investment promotion agency, the Namibia Investment Center, that has been now revamped into the Namibia Investment Promotion Board, and essentially moved from the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade as a department, and now has become a state-owned company under the wings of the Office of the President. The head of the Namibia Investment Promotion Board now has more access direct to the Office of the President, where she will be able to present any case that perhaps as might be presented or required by potential investors, and also for her to be able to present some of the policy amendments that we are proposing. In addition to the restructuring of the Investment Promotion Agency, we have also in December last year already launched what we call an integrated client service facility, which is an online platform that allows foreign and domestic investors to register their companies through an online platform. This platform is intended to reduce bureaucracy, as well as to remove all the hindrances that hinders companies from starting their business faster in the country. The pandemic has also now made it a bit difficult for us to focus on the areas of investment promotion. However, we have now upped the end in focusing on effective aftercare services in order to ensure that existing investors in the country, we retain them, and we have also encouraged them to reinvest in the country. What are the strategies that Namibia as a country is employing at national and also collaboration at regional and international level? We have kicked off by utilizing more and more of digital platforms by participating in webinar and online services in order for us to reach out to FDI. And we have also slightly now refocused our focal areas for investment promotion. We are now targeting companies that are particularly in the areas of digital technology, pharmaceuticals, the health sector, and the ICT companies. At the regional level, we are part of the SACU member states that are organizing government and business roundtable discussions to assess the value chain resilience that still exists among SACU member states. One such roundtable gathering that will be a virtual gathering is organized to take place on the 19th of March, and that particular one will focus on the leather and leather products. Other roundtables will follow, such as one that will focus on meat products. We will continue, we as an IPA will continue identifying opportunities to leverage competitive advantages in key priority sectors to integrate value chains linked to FDI. What are the priorities action in the short term as well as long term? The Namibia Investment Promotion Board will continue to carry out reforms at national level by revising investment governance regime. For example, at the moment, we are busy reviewing the FIA, the Foreign Investment Act, and we want to introduce the Namibia Investment Promotion Act. And the new act will probably come into effect before the end of this year. At this stage as well, we are also busy replacing our incentive regimes, the Economic Processing Zone Act incentive regime, as well as the manufacturer's incentive. We would like to replace it with the special economic zones, and the draft is ready, which will definitely be tabled to cabinet very soon. We would like to continue to introduce targeted incentives to the targeted sectors that we are focusing on during the era of the pandemic, that is the companies related to digital technologies and pharmaceuticals. I would like to thank you for your attention. I thank you very much. I'll be around for any questions or issues of clarity. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you, Willy. Thank you so much for sharing this, and congratulations to this new, very important initiative from Namibia, having a new organization that you have now, a development board, and placed right there at the president's level. Thank you for sharing this. And I would like to thank all the panelists so much for your contributions, really awesome. And pass on to my colleague, John, to lead on the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Christina. Well, thank you all distinguished panelists for your contributions, and thank you to the audience for attentively listening and observing these presentations. We have a few minutes for for questions and answers. Whilst you gather your thoughts, colleagues, and we have some in the chat, I want to start back with SADC Secretariat and with Mário. Mário, you talked about a lot of very interesting, very dynamic things happening through the SADC Secretariat program, the RAPI program. I'm just wondering what investment promotion initiatives are already planned. What kind of promotional events or regional events are planned with the SADC member IPAs for this year, given the current challenges in economic promotion? What do you have?
Due to COVID, we have a guidance that we should not organize, let's say, physical meetings. Based on the SADC investment promotion strategy, we have identified, together with the investment subcommittee, as always, some very important events. For example, the annual Global Business Forum on Africa, the Africa Investment Forum, also the EU Africa Business Forum, the Africa Investment Promotion Forum, the Investment in African Forum, US Africa Goa Forum, World Economic Africa Forum, US Trade and Investment Forum. Those are basically some events which that were indicated together with member states that we should be participating in those forums for us to showcase SADC projects for investor ready in terms of promotion. Thank you.
Thanks, Mário. Well, every IPA I know has a representative in your planning and coordinating group. That's excellent. Rory, if you are connected, would you like to put your comment out to the group and to Nirmala?
Good afternoon. So my question, Nirmala, was specifically how is your agency and the government assisted the tourism industry, which is very important to Mauritius in this tough year that we've all had?
Yeah, thank you, Rory. Actually, there has been meetings at the level of the government also, and there has been support by the government in terms of a wage assistance scheme. And also there is the Mauritius Investment Corporation that is assisting companies that are in difficulty. So hotels and all that, these companies, the MIC is a newly set up company that is assisting them. The government also came up with a few other measures. From what I remember, they have suspended, the lease rates for the hotels, because most of the hotels are found on how we call that, the pagiometric, that is state-owned land for the 2 years. So the lease has been suspended. And also the EDB worked together with the governments to come up with new policies. So we have like existing hotels could be turned into apart hotels also. And the premium visa was one of the initiatives that was taken. So right now we have received some 350 applications and from nearly 45 countries, and nearly over 200 I think have been approved yet. I can confirm that. So there has been some sort of initiatives, work that has been done together with the Ministry of Tourism and the Economic Development Board. And also we have been assisting different companies during the lockdown period also to facilitate the issue of access pass and all that, because that was some of the companies that have to work, and some of the hotels also, because right now Mauritius is still putting the quarantine of 14 days for all the travelers who are coming from overseas. So that is also, there is a meetings going on where the EDB is represented at the level of the Ministry of Tourism. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Very good question. Very interesting. And of course, tourism, especially international tourism, has been so heavily hit worldwide, and Africa is no exception. And I know some countries are focusing more on domestic tourism, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Can I take a question from our colleague and Chief Representative West Africa, Charles Ughele, based in Abuja. Charles, would you like to switch your camera on and make your question or comment, please?
Yes, thank you very much, John. And it's so interesting to have the chief executives of the investment promotion agencies share their experiences on how they've been coping with the unusual business climate in terms of investment promotion to their countries. So thank you very much, presenters. Now, mine is by way of general comment and suggestion. Now, the word on everybody's mouth today is vaccine. And these vaccines are being produced by a few pharmaceutical companies in a very few countries. Now, what the scientists have told us is that virtually everybody, apart from children, underage children, will need the vaccines. So over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll still be talking about vaccines and how they've gone round. So the world's population today is about 7 billion. And we, let's assume about 60% of that population will take vaccines. So we are talking about 4 billion people to take vaccines. Now, I see an investment opportunity for IPAs and for countries in terms of local production of vaccines. What do they need to do? They would make contacts with these companies producing these vaccines. They would show evidence of being able to produce locally. They will obtain franchise. And I can tell you for the next 2 to 3 years, the production of vaccines will be a top agenda item for some companies and for some countries. So I see a huge investment opportunity going forward. So I want to suggest that the IPAs should look at this area and devise ways to key in, and it will generate jobs, generate employment, it will generate more revenue for government, it will, then overall take care of the health and well-being of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charles. You're absolutely right. This is probably one of the only growing sectors last year was the healthcare sector, pharma,
Absolutely.
And of course, medical supplies, PPE, and all of that. And sadly, it's going to be a sector that's going to be with us for quite a few years to come. So it's
at least the next 5 years, at least the next 5 years.
Yeah, so colleagues, you're absolutely right. You must see it as an opportunity and look for your part of that sector. Very good point, Charles. Thank you very much. Colleagues, we are a little bit running over time. Please put your hand up by going to the button in the reactions at the bottom of your screen and just clicking put your hand up. You can do it visually by turning on your camera and sticking your hand up. We also like that too. I just want to ask a question whilst we're waiting to Yunus at InvestSA. How is the digital promotion going? You talked a lot about focus on facilitation, on aftercare. These are classic strengths of InvestSA. You also talked about improving the business environment with an online portal. But what are you doing, Yunus, and what would you advise in terms of outreach, reaching out to potential investors through digital events?
Thanks, John. Look, we've been doing a lot of online webinars.
Could you put your camera on, Yunus? Sorry.
Sure.
Thank you.
I think we've been doing a lot of online webinars sectorally. We have one planned next week with the German automotive industry. So we, as I said, when we did a new corporate plan, we got very focused in the sectors, and we'd rather do a few events sectorally. We also had a look at one of the countries in Eastern Europe that is doing very successfully virtual site tours and virtual site locations. And they have a wonderful platform to do that. And we're seeing how we can cooperate with them or get that kind of technology. And we've also, in the digital space, we've also linked up a new CRM system together with our offices abroad. So to bring it to home much more closely and to work more in a project phase manner. So yes, the digital events, we've been doing many of them, but we're looking at areas where we can use a level of technology such as the virtual site locations. Next week or next month, we'll be launching a new website also that focuses on the entire journey of the ease of doing business in South Africa. So on both phases, on the promotion and the facilitation phase, where we can upskill and upgrade in terms of technology, we're going to be doing that. We also will have a new website by the next month on InvestSA that focuses specifically on the investment promotion part. So we've been trying to upgrade the products and suite of services in terms of the investment journey. Thanks.
Great, Yunus, thank you very much. I certainly like that idea of the automotive webinar focused on the German automotive sector, obviously a key sector. That's a very focused, prioritized way. And I think that's something that most promoters, not just national, but municipal SEZs could also take, could learn from and practice and implement. It's not that expensive to organize, although it does take effort. I'm going to come to Ellen. If Ellen is still connected. Ellen, would you like to say a few words about the Capricorn District Municipality? And you mentioned you're developing an investment handbook. Would you like to tell us a bit about what you are referring to? Are you still with us?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can you turn on your camera?
Yeah, where's my camera here, by the way? Where's my camera?
Near the bottom of your screen on the left side. Yeah.
Hello, can you see me?
Yes, ma'am. Just pull your screen a little bit towards you so you can pull your screen. That's it, please. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you very much for inviting me to this very informative webinar. Yes, as Capricorn District Municipality, we have an investment and marketing strategy. Out of that investment and marketing strategy, we developed a handbook that we have also costed those projects that we want to sell to potential investors. So we, like we are saying, we are just finalizing here and there the handbook, and would very much like to share it with the platform in the next webinar if we can be given a slot. And also with me here in this meeting, it's one of our local municipalities, Phohlo municipality, that is also proposing to have an SEZ. Maybe when we present, when we are given that slot, we will also slot in a bit of what is happening in the preparation for that SEZ. That's in a nutshell.
That sounds very interesting, Ellen. Thank you very much. A great initiative by Capricorn District Municipality. And we hope that it's going to be successful for you this year. So we would be very keen to see if we can showcase and learn from your experience, showcase it through the coming months. Thank you, ma'am. That's really interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are a little bit over time, colleagues, but do we have any further questions? Christina, have you seen any further comments coming in?
Okay, here Imraan has a question from City of Tshwane. Imraan is asking, what initiatives are underway to reshore supply chains within the SADC?
You know, I think there is an opportunity to look at this opportunity for reshoring of value chains. All of the big multinationals, including those from Africa, are looking at more risk reduction to try and mitigate the problems of supply chain stresses in the future. So I think it is worth a strand of communication in all your activities. Let me go to Violet first from Salga.
I just wanted to find out from the presenters, it's not directed to anyone, but I wanted to find out how they're managing the alignment between the automation and focus on digital, solutions, and linking that to policies that are already in place. A case in point, I think here in South Africa, we're grappling with a situation where the city of Joburg, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is issuing electronic race clearance certificates, whereas the deeds office is mandated through the legislation, I think it's the MSA, to process a hard copy of a clearance certificate. So those alignments, requiring organizations to revisit their policies and pieces of legislation to make sure that there is that alignment. I'm just wondering how the other countries have approached this, or what strategies they've put in place to make sure that there is that alignment. Thanks.
Thank you. The COVID-19 has actually generated an important challenge for the investment promotion agencies in the region of SADC, for example. And it forced the shift from routine investment promotion and facilitation by member states, especially the IPAS, to a crisis management situation. And the SADC countries have adopted a variety of policy measures. For example, with regard to boosting the digital capacity, some member states, or maybe I will say almost all, they've developed kind of online administrative approval procedures for investors, for example, e-payment, license, e-survey, e-trade, including e-line seminar or webinar. But what we are advising to member states is for them to enhance their digital capacity so that they can do everything online, because COVID is not leaving somehow soon. So this has been our discussion and debate during the 2 weeks ago SADC Investment Subcommittee meeting. Thank you. I submit, John. Thank you very much.
Mário, thank you very much.
For the lady who was asking for the alignment with the automation and solution, for Mauritius, the experience that we have is what we did is there is a re-engineering process. There's a team of people working at the EDB. We have received funding from the EU for this project of putting the national electronic licensing system. And together with the infrastructure, you need to amend the laws. So there is a law, the Business Facilitation Act, which amends more than 12, 13 other legislations. So this has to go together for the re-engineering and putting up all the infrastructure, the training with the government agencies, everything has to go on, in parallel. So that's how we have been working in Mauritius, and this initiative is still on, and we are working for the different other permits and licenses have identified. Yeah, sorry, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Nirmala. Hopefully, if we may, you could share us the link or two to that activity would be really good. We'll then make sure everybody gets it. Thanks, Nirmala.
Sure.
Clifford I think is still with us and would like to make a comment or raise a question.
Good afternoon, John. Hi, Christina. It's been centuries. Good to see you again. And greetings to everyone. Good to meet Nirmala and the other speakers. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I think from us as the GGDA, since I think the third quarter, if you count from April, we've been looking at how we can go more digital. So we're working with the World Bank on various solutions, focusing mainly on investor retention, because the understanding is we need to keep the basket we have, because clearly anything new right now is still very much caught in the whirlwind. So we are looking to develop online platforms, and I'm happy to say we'll be leapfrogging ourselves. We're using a tool called HubSpot at the moment, which we're onboarding the team upon, which even comes built in with a cell phone application. So I'm happy that in the next 6 months or so, we will be able to say that we've managed to actually find a very quick to deploy solution for us to keep our work moving along despite all other challenges. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Clifford, and I'm glad to see you are making full use of London Underground. Anyway, I think we all agree, digitizing of business services, business support is definitely the way forward. I think it's a big move, and we're all going digital. It's a natural progression. And the fact that it's app-based, Clifford, is very interesting, because that clearly is the way most people, especially businesses on the move, need to access what they want quickly and efficiently. So thank you very much for that update and insight, what's happening in Gauteng.
Ladies and gentlemen, we in our work, we experience often that, especially now in these times, IPAs experience a lot of budget cuts. So maybe some information about some external help could be useful for the one or the other IPA. There is a facility called the ICR, the Investment Climate Reform Facility. It's set up by the EU and the OACPS, the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States. The money comes mainly from the European Development Fund, also a bit from the Germans and from the British Council. And yes, that's it. And under this facility, IPAs as well as DFIs can apply for up to 90 consulting days to get some technical assistance to improve the investment climate in their area, complementing, of course, national and regional initiatives. The only thing I need to add is it's usually for ICP countries. Unfortunately, South Africa is excluded because South Africa already benefits from another EU cooperation instrument, the DCI.
So please, when you go to the website, at the bottom of the eligibility check, there are all the countries listed, and you can find out if you're excluded. But as far as I know, I think South Africa is the only one, but please double check.
Thank you very much, Joseph. And yes, colleagues, please take a look at ICR, especially if you are outside of South Africa and seeking some support. And Joseph is very happy to explain further, maybe to try and help you structure some kind of approach to the ICR facility to get some valuable support.
Thank you all for assisting. Thank you, dear panelists, colleagues. It's been great to have you here. Thank you for taking your time to share with colleagues and peers about your strategies, about your modus operandi, about your transformation, about the new that will help us through this period of transition until the world goes back to the new normal and we will see FDI surge again, as we will be doing. And it's great to hear about all the preparations agencies and governments are doing in their efforts to do the best out of this period, because there's so many good things can be done, and we really love to hear from you. Stay safe and keep well.
Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for attending.
See you soon.
Thank you, everybody, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Sekete.
Thank you.
Bye, Nirmala. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, our dear speakers. Thank you, Jose Jorge.
Hello, Jose Jorge from Angola. Nice of you to be here.
Obrigado, Jose Jorge.
This is my secretary now.